welcome to the North American Bear Center. It is now time for our 11 o'clock enrichment program, and so I would like to invite everyone to please come out to the observation deck or to the viewing window to see two of our bears we have out in our enclosure right now. This broadcast is also going worldwide, and so you may hear me give some direction to a PTZ driver, and that is a worldwide volunteer who is operating our pan, tilt, and zoom live camera right now. And so PTZ driver, we have our little holly bear in the white pine to the far left of the enclosure. And it looks like Heidi, one of our staff members, is calling to her to get her down. I think she was taking a little snooze before, so had to wake her up a little bit to get her to come down. We also have Ted Bear out to the far right by our scale, and he is our 553-pound, 17-year-old male black bear. So he is our oldest male we have here at the North American Bear Center. And I apologize for the windiness if there's any feedback on the mic. It's extremely windy here in Ely today, so I apologize for those listening. Anyway, Ted Bear is to my far right, and we have provided him with what we call a donut. Now, this donut has 3 holes drilled into it, and inside that donut we put in some peanuts and some dried cranberries, which are some of our bears' favorite snacks. And the purpose of this donut is to not only feed the bears, but also show you folks how bears use their paws, their noses, their tongues to manipulate objects in their environment to get the food out that they need. And this is kind of meant to show simple problem solving, and it's not unlike something they would have to do in the wild. And so it kind of stimulates their brain a little bit more as well. Looks like Ted Bear is moving over to the log, and earlier today Ted Bear was sitting with his paws up on the log, and we call that his preaching pose on his preaching log. And each of our bears here, we have 4 ambassador bears here at the North American Bear Center, and they all have very different personalities. So Ted Bear, even though he is our largest bear, he is also our bear that likes people the most. So he's very sweet. He's a very lovable bear. And it looks like another staff member has thrown some red grapes out for Ted, which all 4 of our bears really tend to like and eat a lot. I can't really see where Holly Bear is. I think she's still kind of coming down. Sometimes waking up for a nap, it gets kind of tricky to get out of bed. We have little Holly. She is 18 months old, so she is considered a yearling black bear. We received her this December, so December 2013, and she is our newest bear we have here at the Bear Center. And here's some oohs and ahs from the neck. It looks like she's out and about. And I would like to ask everyone on the deck to be as quiet as possible. Especially on windy days, bears are very sensitive to sound. And that's because they rely very heavily on their sense of hearing to identify things in their environment, see if there's anything dangerous or safe, things like that. And that's, if you can see Holly Bear, she has big ears. Black bears are known, this species are known to have bigger ears compared to, let's say, a grizzly bear, which have a lot more rounder ears. And if we watch Holly, she's very cautious. She can see Ted Bear, who is probably very intimidating to little Holly, who's only about 90 pounds. However, you can hear Heidi, our staff member, give her words of encouragement. And as you'll notice, Holly always looks to Heidi before she makes her next move. And that's because Heidi, and along with another staff member here at the North American Bear Center, Holly has bonded the most deeply with those two. We call them Mama Number 1 and Mama Number 2. And when we received Holly, she was very timid of people, very scared, very frightened. And we never thought that we would get to this point today where she's within feet, very close to Heidi, and actually looks to Heidi for direction. And so she's come a very, very long way. She was first released into this 2.5-acre enclosure on May 30th, so she's still very new, still kind of learning the ropes. And she has been out and about with Ted Bear here, and we've actually gotten them fairly close together, close enough to even touch noses. So she knows who Ted is, but is still a little bit fearful and a little timid towards him. And this is very common behavior for yearling black bears in the wild. When they are about 17 months old, their mom kicks them out, and they're out on their own. So for the first 17 months of life, little black bears spend that time with their mother. They nurse the whole time, they have learned where to eat, things like that. And looks like Holly Bear got a little scared, and she's standing up over here, trying to keep an eye on Ted Bear. But once again, that is very normal behavior for black bears in the wild. Yearlings such as Holly, they would be on their own for about right now, so without their mother. And so they still don't really have a territory. They don't know where all the good food is. They're kind of low on the totem pole, if you will. And they spend a lot of their time being treed from larger bears. And by treed, I mean they get chased away by an older or bigger bear, and they climb up a tree. And that, again, climbing is very important for black bears. From a very early age, black bears can climb very fast up trees because it is their main defense mechanism in the wild. They climb up a tree first and ask questions later because the majority of bears cannot climb trees as fast as they can. And so, you may have noticed Holly Bear has some pretty long claws, and they're kind of curved a little bit, and that's to aid in their climbing up trees. And little Holly can climb up those trees really fast. And Ted Bear over here, he doesn't climb anymore. But Holly Bear, she climbs trees probably every day, I would say. And sometimes she does it for fun. She'll climb up a tree and break off branches for fun. Or sometimes, like you folks on the deck just saw, she kind of ran away from Ted. He moved a little bit. That scared her. And so she ran away. And actually what she did is she stood up on her back 2 feet with her paws off the ground, her front 2 paws off the ground, and her ears faced Ted, and her nose and eyes were too. And that, again, just demonstrates how much black bears rely on their sense of smell and hearing to kind of see what's going on, identify things in their environment. On their 2 feet, plantigrade, just like humans can. And when black bears do that, most of the time it's either to get food up or to do what little Holly Bear was doing and kind of survey the scene and see like where Ted Bear was, see where her mama was, things like that. Because once again, they have excellent vision. They can see in color. They have wonderful senses of hearing and also very, very strong senses of smell. And they actually have an extra organ on the roof of their mouth that aids in their sense of smell. But as you may imagine, on a windy day like today, it's kind of loud, and there's smells and noises coming from all over. We also have construction on the highway, so I'm sure Holly Bear is a little more fearful than a regular, which isn't windy and there's no construction. That wind really, really dampens their sense of smell and hearing, which, if you're relying on that the most to detect things in your environment, if I was a little 90-pound bear, I'd be up a tree really fast. We also have 2 other ambassador bears here at the North American Bear Center. We have Lucky Bear, who is our other male, and he is 7 years old, so he is still considered a sub-adult reaching adulthood. And he is about 335 pounds, give or take a few. And so he is at his prime. We say Lucky, even though he's about 335 pounds, he still climbs up trees all the time, pretty regularly. I just watched a video. We have live cameras. We have 4 live cameras, and there's one on the cedar tree out in front. And I don't know which which night it was, probably within the last few days. Like, he was climbing up this tree, he was playing with this little platform. I think he still thinks he's like a 2-year-old. So he's playful, he climbs all the time. He's really curious and very smart. He also utilizes this pond we have out in front, probably the most out of all of our bears. We also have Honey Bear, and she is our 18-year-old female. So she is our oldest bear we have here at the North American Bear Center. And she is a cinnamon phase black bear. And I'm sure it'll be out and about a little bit later. And if you see her, she has a beautiful reddish cinnamon brown color. And that's pretty rare in black bears. Only about 5% of bears in Minnesota are the cinnamon phase. And a lot of the time people think, oh, she's a brown bear. But she is in fact a North American black bear who just happens to not be black in color. So she's very pretty. Black bears can also come in white, and it's called a Kermode spirit bear. They have a kiosk inside which shows what those bears look like. They're really cute, really pretty. And I believe they're only found in a very specific subpopulation in the British Columbia, Canada. So they're extremely rare. And we also have a glacier bear, which is a really pretty gray, kind of bluish hue. And those are also not found in Minnesota. I believe those are more west in the Rockies and up in Alaska to Canada. So another very small subpopulation. Otherwise, 99% of the time, if you see a black bear, it's going to be black in color, like Ted Bear we have over here. And our bears here still have their winter coats. They're nice and full, very pretty looking. However, as you may imagine, that gets really hot. And to the touch, their coats can get over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So extremely hot and warm. And so one way to go off is this pond we have right here. And all of our bears have been in the pond. We have not seen Holly Bear swimming yet. She's around about chest deep, but we anticipate her to swim fairly soon, hopefully. She likes to play in the falls, actually. And when she was in her pen, we had a hose that she actually liked to play with and try to bite the water coming out of the hose. So she is used to water, but has not gone swimming yet. Some of the other foods that we feed our bears is another question we get a lot. We don't feed them any raw meat or pretty much no meat at all. And that's because in the wild, black bears don't really eat meat. They're omnivores. And so most of their diet is vegetation. And a good example of that is this white clover that's blooming right now. It's out in front of the pond, over to the left side, up behind the falls a little bit. And all of our bears like to eat that clover. And so vegetation is their main food source. They also love berries and nuts, fruits, things like that. And they get their protein from bugs. And so they eat ant brood and bee pupae to get that high amount of protein. And only about 10% of their diet is protein. So here at the North American Bear Center, there are some ant brood colonies, in our 2.5 acres that we've seen a holly bear actually eat. However, we give our bears every morning a raw egg, and all of our bears love it. Actually, today was our first day that we fed Holly a raw egg, and she took it right away. She didn't break it in her mouth. She set it down and then crushed it and ate the yolk and white inside. So that was pretty cool. We weren't really sure if she would know what to do if we fed her a raw egg, but she took it and loved it. She ate it right away, so that's good news. So she's getting all of her necessary protein. We also give them some romaine lettuce and carrots usually in the morning. We gave them an apple today. We try and stay somewhat seasonal, so when they come out of hibernation in the spring, we give them pretty much only romaine, and they add in the egg and the carrots. And now we're kind of phasing out the carrots and replacing that with an apple. So we give them that in the morning, and then throughout the day we do these enrichment kind of programs. So they get usually like mixed nuts in the shell, peanuts out of the shell, some dried cranberries, red grapes. They get a whole bunch of fruits. Kiwis is a good one. They love apples and pears. They actually don't really like green grapes. They prefer the red grapes, which is kind of interesting. They get a whole host of fruits. Avocados they really like. We fed Holly her first avocado about a week ago, and she ate it right up. So another favorite of our bears. And we occasionally will give them tuna if we have to give them medicine of some sort. I mentioned before, black bears have wonderful senses of smell, and so tuna is a really good mask of that kind of medicine smell. But otherwise, we give them fruits, vegetables, peanuts, and raw egg. And we feed them about 5 times a day. And that's because in the wild, usually, black bears will forage for a little bit, and then take a nap, and then forage a little bit, and take a nap. And that's kind of how we time our feeding. We'll feed them a little bit, and then let them kind of do whatever they want, nap, climb a tree like Holly Bear did, rest on a branch, things like that, then feed them again. We also weigh them every week. That little box to the right over here by the donut that was thrown out, that is our scale. And we'll just put some food in that little trough in front, like, let's say dried apricots, another favorite of our bears. And they'll stand on it, and we have a little monitor inside that reads their weight. And so we try and monitor their weight to make sure we're not feeding them too much or too little. So those are our 4 ambassador bears and a little bit about them. I would like to thank everyone here who came out on the deck being nice and quiet and bearing with us on this windy day. Also, everyone else here at the North American Bear Center. And of course, our worldwide volunteers who make this worldwide broadcast possible. We have another enrichment program at 1 o'clock, which is not worldwide, and then another one at 4 p.m., which is, once again, worldwide. I mentioned those 4 live cameras we have. We have one on Holly's den, so our yearling, one on Ted Bear's den, a pond cam, and our PTZ cam, so you can see this pond area 24 hours a day. It's a live feed. And to get to that, just go to our website at www.bear.org. Pretty easy to remember. And there's a little tab that says Live Cameras. And feel free to watch our bears any time of the day, no matter where you are. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone here and all of our worldwide volunteers for participating in our 11 o'clock enrichment program. And remind the folks here that the pass you purchased today is a day pass, so feel free to go into the town of Ely, grab some lunch, check out some shops, and come on back before 7 p.m. when we close. Once again, thank you very much, and enjoy your time in Ely, Minnesota. Thank you.